everybody. This is Tatiana calling you live. Not calling you at all. I'm broadcasting live from my apartment for the Tatiana show. It's very exciting. And we're here today with a lot of different cool guests. I'm excited, even though it's 100 billion degrees outside. It's July 3rd here, 2018. And New York is a steamy, steamy city. How is Berlin going today, Josh? What's going on, bud?
Also steamy as Berlin, steaming it up. It's fantastic.
What is your degrees? What? How many degrees is it over there?
I don't know, like 30.
I wish I knew what that meant. I don't actually know.
31. Well, Celsius. You know, water boils at 100. It's nice and simple.
Well, I can't help myself. No, I mean, yeah, no. Even as much time as I spent overseas, I still don't understand an easy mental calculation for Celsius. So no, I haven't gotten that.
Yeah, it's
adjusted.
You know, it's the Illuminati trying to keep Celsius out of America.
Do you think that that's important?
Yeah.
With all the things that we have in the world?
Yeah.
Do you think that the Illuminati have their own cryptocurrency? And is it the Bitcoin? Is it EOS?
Yeah, it's Illumicoin. You know.
Illumicoin? Okay, fine. Well, we're not going to talk to anyone from Illumicoin because that's not the kind of people we are. But let's bring on our first guest because we've got 3 guests. Should we tell everybody who they are? Yes, let's tell them.
We have a star-spangled guest list today.
We do. I'm pretty excited. So we've got my friend Hartej from Hosho, Hartej Sawhney, which I don't even know his name because I don't need to know it because he's Hartej. And that's all I need to know. But we've known each other for a while from the crypto scene. So he's going to be talking about Hosho and like, I don't know, security and stuff like that. And then we've got Connie Gallippi from BitGive, and she's going to be giving us an update on GiveTrack. So if you're at home and you're wondering what the heck is GiveTrack, you can look it up in the meantime. While you're online, you should also like us on YouTube or give us like a good review on iTunes and do different things to be nice to the show if you are enjoying listening. And then we're going to talk to Christie Harkin, who is one of the editors, probably the editor at Bitcoin Magazine, and is a really good friend of mine for a really long time. And she's great at identifying what people are doing wrong and how to make it better. And if you have a crypto company, anybody basically in this space that's interested in getting some press around what they're doing will probably benefit from what she's talking about. And so, yeah, I think that's a pretty fun show. But let's bring on Hartej. He's broadcasting to us on his bat phone from Turkey or some crazy country. Hartej, it's great to see you. Take yourself off of mute and welcome to the Tatiana show.
I'm in Turkey, and it's not a crazy country. Don't sound too American.
Oh, I've never been to Turkey, and also you're coming to me from the back of the cab, so it looks more
okay.
rustic.
Yes, it is rustic. Here you go, guys. The view. I'm in a cab.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm in Turkey. This was unplanned. I'm on the way to Japan to the Token Sky conference, and my company I'm the co-founder of Hosho, Hosho.io. Hosho, the word itself means security in Japanese, in case you were wondering. And our entire focus in the Bitcoin blockchain space is being the cybersecurity experts within this space, where we see ourselves as a cybersecurity company that happens to focus on the cryptocurrency blockchain space. And what we've been doing to date has been building up a team of white hat hackers and people who have a strong background from the DEF CON community. If you're not familiar with DEF CON is the biggest hacker conference in the world that happens in Las Vegas. And it just so happens that our company is also based in Las Vegas. That's where we're headquartered out of. We have just about 40 people on the roster there, and we focus on auditing smart contracts on any blockchain and conducting penetration testing. We've been building a lot of other cybersecurity solutions. So we're working on a multi-sig wallet for Ethereum. We just finished a bot that you can install on Telegram to find phishing scams. So a lot of people's Telegram groups have phishing scams, and a lot of scams, then you can just install our bot and it'll monitor the group and find scam. And really the core focus though has still been smart contract auditing. That's the core of the work. And everything to date has been mostly people taking advantage of the fundraising mechanism of an ICO on Ethereum's blockchain for the last year. So it's been mostly ERC20 contracts on the Ethereum blockchain that we are auditing and making sure that there's no security vulnerabilities in the smart contract, that the smart contract is doing what it's supposed to do, that what you said in the white paper and you explained the vision for this token economics, does the code actually do that? And often enough, we find a lot of errors in the business logic in the smart contract. So we'll have cases where the founders of the token will never actually get tokens if this smart contract went through, because the code is written by some ex-web developer who just taught themselves Solidity. And we see the truth of the industry. We see that there's a shortage of quality engineers that actually know Solidity. A lot of times we see projects that the entire industry is super hyped up about because they've been to 12 of their parties, but we see the reality that they don't have a smart contract written, and they actually ended up outsourcing the development to some shitty shop, and now we're looking at a contract that barely compiles, and everyone's really hyped up about them, and they've thrown all these parties at all these conferences, and you know, I'm the fucking mythbuster.
You know,
how can you tell who's a good developer? So people keep hitting me up and they're always like, oh, you know, I've got a great dev team. Tell your friends. I'm like, I don't know. Am I really going to tell my friends that? And, you know, how do you know that the person, let's say you're a new person to the space, like how do you even know besides, well, I guess, you know, that's why they hire you. But how do you vet someone short of hiring you to know if they're even going to be good at the work, the dev work?
So there's two different ways of thinking about it in the blockchain space right now. So you have software developers, software engineers, and then you have people who are in cybersecurity. And so for our company, at least, if someone's going to audit a smart contract, they don't necessarily need to have the mindset of a software engineer or software architect, because when you're actually engineering software, you have a different mindset than you do of an auditor. And so this makes our life even more difficult. So I'll start with, if my mission was to build software in the blockchain space and I was looking for someone who's a qualified engineer, I would be looking for someone who's a full stack engineer who also understands Java, JavaScript, C#, and now they taught themselves Solidity and they've actually been building in Solidity. Solidity is a new language, and that's what Ethereum is built on, and a lot of people don't know it, and a lot of people who know Solidity really well, they're too rich to get out of bed. And those who are teaching themselves Solidity now, well, they're rushing to try to become too rich to get out of bed. And on the other hand, if you have a background in cybersecurity and you're from InfoSec and you've had a QA mindset and you've been auditing actual code, you have the right mindset to do what we need, at least at Hosho, but you don't know Solidity because you had no incentive to learn Solidity. And so that's the barrier that we're crossing, that we have to find people. We're better off finding people in the DEF CON InfoSec community, teaching them Solidity and catching them up to speed, but rather than having someone who has the mindset of building software who already knows Solidity to now learn how to have a QA mindset to audit code.
Yeah, it's one of these full-on important parts of this industry, and there's really not enough of it. We see it all the time where there's these jokers popping out of nowhere, basically copying a contract from somewhere, it's just cloning it and trying to bend it into making something else to fit their idea. The token economics doesn't work, so that's a whole field in itself. And then the actual code auditing, man, you know, if there's a black hat hacker out there, and there's a lot of them, there's so much profit to be made from these fools that are just being gung-ho, like you said, trying to get rich really quickly, and pumping these ridiculous almost scams because they're really not doing things properly. They're not going through the you know, it's not only the contracts. If they're trying to get regular, you know, putting a security token out there, that's not, they're just throwing it out there and saying it's not a security, so that part of it's not that's almost a penetration test in itself to see if it's properly legal. Which, I mean, I'm coming more from the anarchic point. I think all of them should be all of them should be legal. You should do what you want. You should the community should weed out the crap. But anyway, the state jumps in there and does it anyway. So it's you know, do you guys look at that side of things as well to say, hey, you know, you guys are saying it's a utility token, but it actually falls under you know, a security?
Oh, did we lose him? Hartej, I don't know. You seem like you're frozen. I have a lot of questions for him. I mean, I don't know. I guess what I'm wondering is, like, if you're a new vendor and stuff, how do you even know the people that you are working with are vetted? I mean, people who hire for that, they probably already know. Oh, here he is. Hey, Hartej. Oh, you're cutting out, bud. See, this is what happens. You go to other countries. You know, the beauty of the internet of America, which is actually a joke because I can't even get internet service going into the city, which is like 2 blocks away.
Actually, Turkey's got some great internet coverage.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Google's got
your deals.
Hello? Oh, Hartej?
Yeah, Tatiana.
Hey, here you are.
Tatiana.
Hey, what's going on?
Sorry, you're freezing up.
Yeah, we didn't hear you.
Oh, man.
So you can start again.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah.
So basically, I was saying, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was basically saying that a lot of law firms are the ones that are digging more into the legality. They're digging more into the classification of security versus utility. And our job has just been to shred the code, the actual code itself, and to put a GPG file, a cryptographic sign of approval on the code so that if that code changes, then they have to pay for a re-audit. And as long as our seal is on the code, once we've completely shredded through the code, then we're mitigating the risk of lawyers, governments, investors, advisors, just everybody, everybody. And our audit report highlights line by line what we found, what mistakes we found, what vulnerabilities we found. And then they take that audit report and they go back and they fix the errors that we found. We do a free re-audit. The most common critical vulnerability, I mean, we're seeing everything from infinite token generation to errors in the business logic, where I think it hasn't even been 2 weeks where we saw a contract where they forgot to allocate 8 million tokens. So the white paper says they're allocating 20 million tokens, and in the smart contract, they only allocate 12. And they just forgot about 8 of them. Or we see people struggling to simply follow the ERC20 guidelines. Another thing that we're seeing is hidden functionalities, copying and pasting other people's smart contracts. And then you have certain functionalities that are centralized. For example, you have like the modifier transfer function in a lot of really famous contracts, a couple of really famous contracts, where the founders of the token have the power to remove tokens from any wallet at any time without anybody's permission. It's a centralized function. And this is something that this is the reason why we are trying to make our report so sophisticated, because the one person who reads our reports is the exchanges. Exchanges are the ones that read every line of, and they're very much concerned what is in the smart contract. And that's been a big push of ours of going around Asia now, where there's been so many hacks in the exchanges and so many tokens listed without audits, that we're trying to make a big push to go to every exchange and say, do not list tokens that have not been audited by a professional third party. And please ask that third party, what do they do in an audit? Are they just taking the code and putting it through tooling and saying that it's been audited? And so we're actually having a gathering of 7 to 8 of the biggest cybersecurity pros that are doing professional audits and getting them together in Berlin to agree that this is what we consider a smart contract audit, because more and more we're seeing people pop up in the space out of someone's basement that contributed to the Ethereum core, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a core dev Ethereum, and I'll audit your smart contract." And a lot of them just want to take the code and put it through tooling. They don't want to do all of what we do in an audit. And so this is a unique time for us to do some self-governance globally before there's like a Moody's made.
Hey, cool, man. Well, I'm in Berlin, so make sure you hook up when you're in town.
I should give you the full details for the Berlin. I think it's called ETH Berlin or something like that. But yeah, there's all the cybersecurity pros. We're all going to join forces and meet together in Berlin and hash out how we can all come to an agreement and say that everybody in this room, do you agree that this is what we're going to do now from now on, to do penetration testing and to do smart contract auditing?
Yeah.
What percentage of people are really even taking this aspect seriously? I mean, like we all joke and talk loosely, crypto, there's all these scammers and hackers and stuff. Like what percentage of people that are looking at, like the whole market, what percentage of those really are completely unvetted sort of messes? I would say, I'm guessing 80%, but that's literally a guess. So you tell me. No,
honestly, it's getting better. I can't just guess a percentage, but I would say that depending on in the United States and in North America, every single exchange has made it a standard that they're going to check for a professional third-party audit. Asia has some catching up to do. It seems that in Asia, they have more private auditors taking a look at the code. Some of these exchanges have 1 or 2 people auditing themselves, and they're okay with just 1 or 2 people kind of looking over the code and saying it's good to get listed. The speed of which in Asia that things get listed is a lot faster than anywhere else. Right? Yeah. On Monday you'll see a couple companies raise a few $1 million, and on the following Monday they're listed in 4 exchanges in Asia. And so this is also, I mean, Asia is an exciting market. This is why I'm going to Asia. I'm headed to Japan tonight, followed by Korea, Singapore, China, because this is what we have to do. We have to go there and sit down with the biggest players and explain to them what we're seeing, why they're at risk, and how we can mitigate their risk.
Let me ask you, so just to change gears a little bit, because I know that you have a creative background, I have a creative background, people know that and stuff, but how did you end up in the crypto space? You know, what is it that's so interesting about this right now? And do you see yourself getting back to your artistic roots? Like, I've been thinking more about my roots. I went in and I'm doing album 4. We should actually do a track together. Actually, that would be fun. But I mean, what's the story? You know, how did you end up from music to tech?
So I've been studying Indian classical tabla my whole life, and I've been teaching myself how to make music on Ableton, and I've been distributing and licensing music and working with rappers and musicians trying to sell their music, and none of that is profitable. None of that makes real money. And I found myself in the tech startup world about a decade ago, building a fintech company and in payment processing. And so prior to being in full-time blockchain cybersecurity, I was in a mix of cybersecurity and financial technology, where I moved to Las Vegas in order to launch a company called Zuldi, Z-U-L-D-I, and we re-engineered the world's most commonly found point-of-sale system. It's called Micros. Micros was acquired by Oracle for $5.3 billion, and we made this Micros POS system run on any tablet and made these tablets accept chip credit cards and Apple Pay, Android Pay, NFC payments, and that's how I ended up in Vegas. But simultaneously, I'm studying music and, you know, closing my eyes and dreaming of a day where I get to spend more and more time in music, for sure. But the thing about crypto is, when I started reading about Bitcoin in 2011, the Bitcoin white paper blew my mind, and I started a Bitcoin WhatsApp group, and I started pulling my entire New York tech meetup scene and New York tech enterprise meetup scene, and like the New York tech scene didn't really have a tech vibe growing up, and then all of a sudden General Assembly opened up a co-working space, and I was one of the first 10 companies to work out of General Assembly, and that was in Flatiron in New York, and all of a sudden in New York City you'd bump into developers and hear more Silicon Valley vibes. But like this world of decentralization and trustlessness has continued to blow my mind, but we didn't really think it was going to be an industry when we got into it. We were just getting together at meetups, and in Las Vegas, while I was running my previous company, we'd go to local meetups. There's mostly guys that were taking a break from playing Magic cards or poker, and we didn't have any liquid cash, but we were running these WhatsApp groups and facilitating other people to make lots of money. And eventually someone gave me a little bit of a tip where they were like, hey, like, I made a bunch of money because of your group, you know, here's some Bitcoin. And I was like, whoa, like that's more money than I've made in the entire startup. Like, helped me wipe a little bit of credit card debt. And this industry started growing, and well, my co-founder and I wanted to find a way to sell shovels to this industry. We didn't want to do an ICO. We wanted to be able to do something that we know that will be needed for the next 20, 30 years. And we felt like, what do we do that everybody needs without launching our own token, without being in any risk, because we are American for now. And
oh man,
yeah, I mean,
all right, well,
it's a complicated answer, Tatiana, because what I want to say to you is, pretty soon I'm going to be focusing on music way more than I have in my current plans. But right now it's a balance. I do everything. I enjoy everything, and in the evenings I put 2 to 3 hours towards my music as much as I can.
Hey, we're in a revolution of minds and money right now. We're changing the whole industry, so we need people like you to do what you're doing, and take my hat off that you're doing stuff like this, because it is super important. Coinbase, I think it was Coinbase, also had some sort of ERC20 or some sort of Ethereum token went in there, because this is programmable money, folks, and they had it where it I don't know if it was Coinbase, but it went in there and had the potential to steal all this money, but somehow it got caught and Coinbase managed to catch it. But these smart contracts, they're not just like Bitcoin. You can't just send them, if you send them in, they can execute in the background and do something. So it's really important that these things are audited properly.
Contract gets hacked, money gets stolen. That's the crazy part of it. If a smart contract gets hacked, well, most of the time smart contracts are coded to be irreversible. So getting it audited in advance is super crucial. And once it gets hacked, actual money gets stolen. And that's the scary part. Like, I think in the United States, we had Home Depot get hacked. Their point-of-sale system got hacked, but I don't think anyone gave a crap. And no one gives a crap because it was just data being stolen. When data gets stolen, everyone's like, meh. But then when money gets stolen, everyone freaks out.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
But Tatiana, I will tell you that I just came from Kiev, Ukraine, where I have made significant progress on my clothing line, which I'm really excited to launch. And I feel like it's the creative. I think it's a creative side. After about 15 hours in a day of just crypto, like it's about 3 to 4 hours I need to ease my brain with either music, fashion, or art. One of the three.
Well, I think that there's a lot of overlap with the crypto space in that, and I like to see people getting a little bit of balance. So, Hartej, thanks so much for coming on. If people want to link up with Hosho or you, I know you've got your world tour going on. So where's like central online location where people can connect with you? Oh, now you're muted.
Now I'm mute.
I don't know. Sorry.
I'm on. Hey.
Hi. Yeah, we gotta let you tell that to us again because you were on mute and now I think you're frozen.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean it's Hosho.
And we're throwing a we're throwing a conference on October 9th.
Oh, really? Where?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, where is your
conference? We're doing a conference October 9th to the 11th in Las Vegas, Hard Rock Hotel. We're doing a full buyout, and it's called HoshoCon.com. The focus is blockchain security.
Where's my invitation? I want a personal one.
I'm going to give you a written one by hand from a postcard
with calligraphy.
In Ukraine.
I want, yes, very nice. Yes, or whatever the respective handwritten language is there. Maybe the backwards letters,
I can only write in English and Punjabi, so.
Well, I mean, you got some friends over there. I know you've got friends all over the world. All right, what's the Hosho's website one more time?
HoshoCon.com and Hosho.io.
All right, I want to hear all about HoshoCon. We got to talk about that separately because I'll help you out if you want in terms of making some new friends for that. So, all right, cool, great. Thanks, everyone.
I would love your help. Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Bye, Hartej. Thanks for hanging.
Awesome to meet all of you. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah, sorry about the background noise and all that.
No, we're all set. That worked out. Thanks, Hartej. So real quick, if you've got a product or service that fits with our show, you can reach out to us for sponsorship opportunities. You can write to our friend Dave at btcmedia.org. They're doing all this promotion for all the Let's Talk Bitcoin panel people. Now they care. No, I mean, not that they didn't care before, but, really boosting it up. I'm psyched.
Let's Talk Bitcoin's been great lately. I had listened to their show. They're really stepping up the game, which is fantastic.
I wasn't just talking about Let's Talk Bitcoin Adam's show, even though I do like that show too. I was talking about the whole network of awesome podcasters that are now being shared across the BTC Media brand. So I think that's kind of neat. But anywho, so I wanted to bring on our next guest, Connie Gallippi. Connie's been on the show with us before. And she is the founder of BitGive, which is the world's first 501c3 for Bitcoin. And she and I have known each other since like 2013, which is really, really old school. And as we've gotten to know each other, BitGive has grown and it has now evolved into GiveTrack. So Connie's here to say hi, tell us a little bit about BitGive, and just tell us about what's been going on with GiveTrack since we last heard, because it's a pretty new, cool way, really innovative way of using charity and blockchain together. So welcome to the show, Connie.
Thank you. It's fun to be back. I was trying to remember. It's been like years since I've been on your show, I think.
I don't think so. I feel like we've talked about GiveTrack in some sort of an interview capacity, but maybe it hasn't been through this format because I know that I know I've told my peeps about you. So anyway, what's going on? How's everything going with BitGive?
Awesome. Yeah, well, it's been quite a ride. The last 6 months have been so exciting. Actually, so we launched GiveTrack live at the end of October last year, which was a big deal for us. It's our minimum viable product, and we launched it at Money 2020, which was really exciting. And ever since then, what's that?
Where was
the US one.
Oh, the US one.
No, the European one is in
June.
June.
The US, yeah, the one in Vegas in October last year. Yeah, so and ever since then we've been on this like wild roller coaster ride. I mean, well, the whole 5 years of BitGive has been a wild roller coaster ride. But we're pretty excited about GiveTrack as our new focus, and the whole idea behind it is it's a platform for charities to post projects and fundraise in Bitcoin. But it's a lot more than that. So we're encouraging them to not only fundraise in Bitcoin, but keep the funds in Bitcoin, to transfer them cross-border to partners and staff in developing countries that are actually implementing the projects, and then being able to actually watch that on the blockchain. So leveraging the transparency of the blockchain and the accountability that it provides. And then also providing reporting back to donors on the results. So not just that they can watch the blockchain, money moving on the blockchain, but they can actually see pictures and videos and reports on what happened with those funds. So we're pretty excited about that. We had 2 successfully funded projects already, and we have 2 more live right now that are fundraising. One is for Open Mind Africa, and it's a summer camp in Ghana, and it's for students to help them develop mindset and character and skills so that they can have a more successful academic and career life. And it's open to students throughout Africa. It's not just for Ghana citizens, but it's held in Ghana. So that's our biggest one right now. It's coming to its deadline, and it could really use some support. So we'd love to see folks going for that on our platform. It's givetrack.org, where you can see the projects. And then we just published another one that's for building a greenhouse in Philadelphia to help with more healthy eating and sustainable agriculture, and educating and empowering students who will be building and benefiting from the produce. So pretty exciting stuff. I don't know, I don't want to go on and on, but that's kind of what's going on now. And then we have a whole bunch of other interesting things coming up. So I don't know how much time we have, but I can kind of run through those.
I'd love to just quickly step back a little bit. I think the most amazing part of your project is the transparency part, because, you know, I mean, I run an exchange, and my obsession was always transparency in exchanges, but that's dealing with crappy, you know, speculators and just annoying speculators who want to speculate. But what you're doing is so important and so amazing that and it's often used by scammers in the past, charities, to do, you know, to take advantage of people. And that's why what I find so wonderful with you is you've set up this charity and really focused on transparency in charity, and using the blockchain in transparency. Let's talk about. I'd love to talk about how that works.
Sure. Yeah, well, so we're very proud that we're working with the Bitcoin network, because there's like Hartej was talking about, a lot of, you know, the random projects that are out there these days, and people building on Ethereum that have no idea what they're doing, and just there's so much stuff going on that and a lot of it likes to use the cloak of charity to make it look nice and attract people, but it's really not actually a good project. So we've been focusing this entire time on the Bitcoin network. We're now working with RSK and their smart contracts technology for the next version of GiveTrack.
Oh, hey, wow, fantastic. So for those that don't know, folks, RSK is kind of the smart contract platform for the Bitcoin network. And you can pull smart contracts over from the Ethereum network and run them on Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin blockchain. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, we're super excited about that because, you know, we wanted to provide So there's a couple things. The transparency is very exciting with the blockchain. But in the real world today, like you mentioned, there's so much focus on the trading and the speculating and the holding and hodling and all of that stuff. There's very little infrastructure, especially in the developing world, for converting crypto, and especially no one's really using it on the ground. And in some cases, but it's very unique. And we've almost gone backwards in some cases, like for example, in Kenya with BitPesa, that was like huge news a couple years ago that they had plugged into the M-Pesa system. But regulatory-wise, they got challenged with Safaricom, and that's happening in other places in the world too, like Indonesia. It seems like everywhere where there's traction on the ground, the government is coming in and shutting things down.
On
so we're
behalf
almost
of the
going
incumbents.
backwards, So we can say that this technology, can do all these things, which it does, but in the real world, it's not really happening on the ground. And there's a lot of challenges that we've come up against and that we're trying to address. Still working with, using fundraising in Bitcoin, using the blockchain, moving the money, and getting it as far as we can in crypto, and then plugging into these services that can provide conversion on the ground. But the idea behind smart contracts is that it also, in the meantime, while we're having these challenges of getting money all the way to the last mile and being able to track it that far, smart contracts can come in and be an interim solution to that challenge, right? Because the way we're setting it up is the fundraising is set into milestones, and they have to report back not only financial but results on the ground in milestones through smart contracts. And then there's multiple signatures required to say, yeah, this looks great. They're doing really good work. They're doing what they said they're doing. We're going to all approve the next slug of funding gets released.
Wow.
So even if they have to convert it, because that's what charities need to do to get work done, they're trying to help people, and they can't give them crypto and expect something to happen. There's this new project that Brian Armstrong just announced that he's trying to, get crypto to people in need. They cannot do anything with it right now. We've been trying to work on this for 5 years. They have to be able to convert it. They're in need of, basic things to survive, or, education, just things that they can't sit with crypto and wonder what's going to happen to it. So that's a big challenge, but we're coming in with this smart contract solution that we think will still provide a lot of accountability and transparency, even though we won't be able to necessarily have crypto going all the way to the last mile. We obviously would love to see that happen someday, and we're working towards that, but we also know the reality because we've been working on this for so long.
Well, I want to first of all commend you for all the hard work you and your team have been putting in. I mean, it's great for people to talk about Bitcoin and charity, but you've been in the trenches with a lot of help, but a lot of times just sort of on your own. So it's really great to see BitGive blossoming, and GiveTrack is really cool. My question is that I know that BitGive is a Bitcoin focused charity, but a lot of people don't necessarily have Bitcoin. So I wonder if you explored the idea of potentially having people be able to do donations in regular USD or other fiats, and then having it convert into Bitcoin just for the purpose of transfer and tracking.
Yes, we are actually. Yeah, so we've spent the last 5 months or so trying to figure out how to build this next version of GiveTrack. And that was one of the biggest challenges we had and I pushed the team hard because we have to be able to welcome people to use this platform that don't have Bitcoin, because I think it's one of the best mainstream use cases of crypto that there is. And it can bring in people who want to see more transparency in the philanthropic sector, but we have to be able to welcome them if don't already have Bitcoin. So it was a huge challenge, I gotta say. Mostly because, two reasons: the regulatory constraints. So BitGive does not want to become a money transmitter or a money services business. So that was a very big barrier. Designing around that means plugging into an existing service that can offer that for us, and integrating it. And unfortunately, that's also challenging because of the US regulations. There's lots of exchanges out there, but a lot of them say we won't serve US customers. So we finally found a solution, and we're really excited. It took us some time, but we're working with Uphold, and we're integrating with Uphold. So people will be able to come with USD, most likely using a credit card, and they can donate through Uphold. Then it will be converted into Bitcoin and sent into a multi-sig wallet for the smart contracts.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm so excited to hear that there's that like consideration. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised. You know, a lot of people, they, it's always a topic of, women in blockchain and how can they contribute? And if you're not a tech developer, you're not enough of a woman in blockchain and all this stuff. But sometimes what I think that women bring in is just some common sense for like a normal person. So I'm really glad that you're doing this stuff in the space. How can people, find out more? How can they donate? We're going to be bringing up Christie, and I know you've got a lot going on over there, but how can people at home who are listening and saying, you know what, this Connie chick, those BitGive people, they're on to something. They're on the right track. How do I give?
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, so we have two things. One is our main website, bitgivefoundation.org, and you can check out just what we've been doing for the last 5 years there. You can contribute. We have a sustaining donor program. We have a membership program, and we also just have one-time donations. We're on social media as well. And then our live fundraising for charities is on givetrack.org. And like I said, we have 2 live projects now. We have more in the pipeline. So we're pretty excited about that. And we have a lot of other exciting things coming up the next 6 months. We have our 5th year anniversary. We'll be launching the next version of GiveTrack. We launched a research effort with the University of Edinburgh. So just, following us and signing up for our newsletter, you'll start to see all kinds of exciting things coming out.
Yes, and real things, not fake ponies in the sky like other people. And
exactly.
The crypto space. Oh, we're gonna give you a pony. You're not getting a pony. You're getting nothing. All right, I love you, honey. It was great to have you on the show. I'm sorry it was me unprofessional to profess my love to one of my good friends, but I really enjoy the work that you're doing, and I'm happy that we can show support. Thanks for coming on. And Crypto Media Hub is one of the supporting partners for BitGive of some kind. I don't think that we have like official designation of some kind, but we're something. Anyway, so by the way, people who don't know about this, Crypto Media Hub, my company, sponsors this show. So if you're interested in PR or marketing or advertising services for your companies, check it out. Go to cryptomediahub.com. And now we actually have a repeat sponsor from last week, the Plutus guys. So we're going to play that ad for you right now. Hang on, everybody.
Plutus makes paying merchants in crypto easy. Looking for a practical day-to-day way to use cryptocurrency? Join Plutus in beta. Maybe, like me, you're still waiting for your favorite stores to start accepting cryptocurrency. Plutus allows you to shop from those favorite stores and websites and pay with crypto. Each time users pay with the Plutus app or debit card, they earn reward points or plutons. Kind of like frequent flyer deals or cashback points, plutons can be spent at any NFC-enabled store with the added bonus of instant payments and 0 transaction fees. You can earn up to 3% in plutons for each time you use your Plutus debit card and pay with BTC or Ether. Plutus makes paying merchants in crypto easy. To find out more, go to plutus.it, plutus.it.
I like doing these little commercials, and I like that it sounds like a little bit of a slow jam. Again, if y'all are interested in sponsoring the show, go to dave@btcmedia.org. And I guess we should bring on, I don't want to call her the grand finale, but she's a bit of the grand finale, because I think this is a really cool and relevant topic. Content, how to get your content out there, how to get published, press releases, all that stuff is stuff that people try to do in-house, which has varying levels of results. But I understand that budgets don't always allow for a firm to help out. So what are some best practices? Christie's been in the industry forever. She knows so much stuff. And she also has a real professional editing background. She has a really cool publishing company and stuff like that. So I'm going to let her talk now. Christie Harkin, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Hey, Tatiana. Kind of cool to be on this side of it.
Yeah, very cool. I like all of your glowing blue things that you have. Your glasses are glowing. Not really. It's just a reflection. But then you've got these this big headset. You look very high tech, like a 80s video game person.
Well, it's all courtesy of my gamer daughter, who is also a streamer and also a video and audio editor. So she's in town and loaning her gear.
Okay, well, I'm glad I know your daughter. She's very cool. She's also down with the crypto. You've got a whole big crypto family. Before we kind of dive into your work with Bitcoin Magazine, why don't you give us a little bit of a background about how you got into cryptocurrency and what you were doing even before that?
Oh, well, I've been an editor in some capacity, whether it be private tutor or working with publishing companies. I'm in Canada, so I've worked with a couple of big Canadian publishing companies, and I started my own publishing company. So I've been editing for like 20 years or so. So I kind of know the words. And anyway, I got into Bitcoin in 2014, just chatting with people in my family who were totally into it. And that's how I got into Bitcoin and started working, doing some PR work, doing some editing that way, because I had started up my publishing company and needed something to sort of pay the bills while I was waiting for my books to make money. So that's how I started getting into Bitcoin. And then started writing for Bitcoin Magazine, went away for about a year to edit for another startup news site, and then came back to Bitcoin Magazine almost exactly 2 years ago now as the managing editor.
Awesome. So tell us what drives you crazy about Bitcoin Magazine. And, I want basically insider baseball. I want people when they're listening to the Tatiana show and say, wow, I really learned a lot there, and I didn't even have to pay for it. I could just listen to the Tatiana show, get great advice. So what drives you crazy about people who are submitting press releases? How has that changed? Because, it used to be you could just submit any kind of news story. Now it's become a lot more stringent. What are some of the things that publishers are looking for and that they're not getting? Give me all the good stuff.
Well, I love—
You can reserve some good stuff for yourself.
I love working for Bitcoin Magazine. They've been great. They have a really high standard of editorial ethics, which was a huge factor in my jumping ship and coming back to Bitcoin Magazine to work there in editorial. We've got this huge, massive brick wall, impenetrable. I try to make it an impenetrable brick wall between our marketing and advertising side of things and our editorial. So while we do have advertising and we do have very, 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 very clearly marked sponsored content on the site, I have absolutely nothing to do with it. I don't know who our sponsors are unless I go to the website and investigate. I have absolute control over the editorial content. There's never any pressure from management or the sales team to be nice to a particular company or to promote them. So if a story is interesting and it's pitched to me in the proper channels, I will consider it. And sometimes it coincidentally is somebody that is advertising with us or being sponsored, but I have absolutely no, I have no interaction or connection to that side of things. And that's incredibly important to me as an editor and as someone who's involved in journalism.
Yeah, it's super important.
So that's the best part about working for Bitcoin Magazine, is that kind of freedom and non-interference.
So then what kind of stories are you getting, and how do you gauge if the stories are, real, right? I mean, do you have to be a super crypto expert? You guys have teams, what is that bar for journalism?
Well,
what makes a good story?
Yeah, we've got some writers who are experts in what they do. We have some writers who are lawyers, so they understand regulation, they understand the legal side of things, and they're able to ask the right kinds of questions, and they're able to look at something and go, yeah, that doesn't sound right, and investigate. And also they have connections with people that they can go to or expert commentary, opinion, or just input to make sure that we do a lot of vetting that way. We also have Aaron Van Beerdem, who is a superstar journalist in the space when it comes, especially when it comes to technology, when it comes to codes. Like, he's not a coder, he's not an engineer, but he does know a lot. Like, he's been doing so much research, and people have a lot of respect for him. So I leave a lot of that decision making to him. If Aaron says it's important, or Aaron says it's interesting, and it's important. And very
good writer.
Yeah, he's a fantastic writer, and he knows his stuff. And I trust him, and that's when he says that if something is good to go, or if he still questions something, I trust his judgment, and that's an invaluable resource to have as an editor, because I can't know everything. I just can't. I'm a children's book editor originally, so even though I've been in Bitcoin for the last 4 years, I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. But again, because I read every article, I also kind of have a clue whether something is a useful or an important story.
Yeah, well, you're one of the few that's been along for the ride for a long time. And a lot of folks don't know that Bitcoin Magazine actually gave Vitalik Buterin his first out on the scene. He used to be a writer back in the day for Bitcoin Magazine. He wrote some really great articles on there as well.
Was he a co-founder?
He was a co-founder. Yeah, he got the ball rolling for Bitcoin Magazine, and then we, when I say we, BTC Inc., the Baileys bought it a couple years after he had it all up and running, and switched from a print edition to the strictly online edition. Although we do have some print publications that come out a couple times a year. Why Bitcoin is one of them that you'll probably, if you go to any Bitcoin conferences, you've probably seen them distributed. And the other is distributed.com, and that is more of an enterprise-facing, as opposed to what is Bitcoin. It's here's how the blockchain is useful, could be useful in your industry or sector. And I have nothing to do with that.
The articles that come out are really, really good. I always find Aaron's work to be so spot on. Exactly when I'm thinking something like, oh, but how does that possibly work? Especially during the fork, when Bitcoin forked Bitcoin Cash, Aaron was on it, man. And he was coming out with such fantastic articles every time about what's happening, the block count, all the politics, and wrapping it into something that people can understand. So I'm always very, very impressed with his work. Super, super good stuff.
Well, one of the things also about Aaron, and what I try to encourage our other writers to do, is we may not be the first on the news, but hopefully we're the most thorough on the news. So if we take an extra day and everybody else has read it somewhere else, we try to add something more to the story. So not just this is happening, but this is happening, and here's why it is important, and here's why it isn't important. So even though there may be all kinds of FUD out there about a particular topic, we try to cut through a bit of that and say, well, okay, let's all take a step back and see why this is or isn't a big deal. And sometimes our headlines are exactly that. I think we just had one this last week that was, here's what this is, and here's what's going on with this, and here's what it means, and here's what it doesn't mean. Just to get everybody to sort of chill and not have knee-jerk reactions to sensational headlines.
Well, I think it's also hard to trust different publications. As a reader, I tend to, for example, for our team, sometimes they're sourcing articles and stuff to look through. And I always try and get them to go to original crypto publications that have been for a while, especially Bitcoin Magazine, obviously, but just in general, because I don't trust these major outlets to have a true understanding of the nuanced space. You know what I mean? It's like an outsider looking in saying, oh, this coin's going to be big. And then they leave. Like, what do they know? That's how I feel like even the more, major publications that have been in crypto for a while, I don't really trust them as much as I would a regular publication. But I also think that these original, like all these, Coin this, Coin News this, Coin whatever, you know, all these kind of wannabe publications have really, really poor standards. So I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how new people can really make that distinction about what makes a good article or not. I mean, the average person wouldn't even know. They would just read some stupid one that they got on a link and then just think that that's true. So I don't know. It's good to have real writers and real editing and like a thought process from people who are really community based. I mean, now I feel like I'm just shilling for the Baileys, but I like the Baileys a lot, and I think that they're really good people. And I know David personally, and I know that David really cares a lot about the space. And for me, as a participant in the space, look, there's a lot of different vendors, and there's a lot of good vendors that are coming in. But the OG people that really have the spirit are an essential component of growing our space and keeping those old values in mind. So that combination, I think, is really good.
I have to say there are some good new startup publications, and I've had a good chance to meet with, especially when I was at Consensus, I met with some really ambitious and real go-getters who have some smaller publications, and their hearts are really in it, and they're trying really hard, and they really are trying to make the news that they present authentic and verified and good writing. I know that there are publications out there that are trying, and it's a hard thing because there is so much, well, there's so much politics, and everything can be interpreted through that lens, and it's a tricky line to walk when you're dealing with companies that have been around a long time, people in the space who've been around a long time, and everybody makes mistakes, and everybody fails and tries again, and you've got your past coming back to haunt you in some instances with some of these companies, and trying to give everybody, the readers and the builders in the space, a fair shake, is what we aim to do. Bitcoin Magazine doesn't hide the fact that we're pro-Bitcoin, and it's right on our About page. If you go to our About page and read our mission statement, we'll say right up, we are pro-Bitcoin. We're not anti-altcoin, we're not anti-Ethereum, we're not anti the other things. We're all about whatever's making the space grow. Heck, BTC Inc. started partially had a relationship starting up a coin itself with Poet. So we don't have an anti-altcoin bias. We're not maximalists, but our point is to show the world and the space what is happening and how Bitcoin is growing. And sometimes that means pointing out things that have gone wrong, but also not unnecessarily presenting negative stories. For example, when I think it was Korea had, when they started cracking down on ICOs and various coins, it wasn't that they were banning cryptocurrencies. They were just saying, oh, hey, if you're dealing with them, you have to have a registered bank account. And all of a sudden the headlines were Korea bans crypto for non-registered bank accounts. And ours were like, hey, Korea says it's okay if you deal with crypto as long as you have a registered bank account. So there's an angle that sometimes maybe it doesn't get the clicks, but at the same time, it also doesn't tear down what we're trying to build in Bitcoin.
Well, so you get my click because I think it's very important because, first of all, it's an age-old problem. Bias in the media in terms of profitability as well. There's a lot of writers that are really struggling. They're trying to make some good media, and then some ICO has got a hell of a lot of cash sitting behind it to pump. Their ICO will come and say, "Oh, you know, that's really, you know," and it's very, very hard to say no and have some integrity, journalistic integrity on that, and that's always a constant battle. And there is, you know, we're running a company ourselves in this space for a long time. We've seen publications charge so much for a legitimate story. Like, let's say we have a legitimate news article, and some other publications will really just charge like ridiculous amounts of money And you just think that's not journalism. Either say, no, that's not, a good article. It's not interesting for our readers, or, hey, that's interesting for our readers. And then, get some ads in or something like that. And so that's, it's always it's an age-old problem. And I think you guys are doing a great job balancing that.
Well, I think part of for us is the fact that I am completely independent from the sponsored content and the advertising side of things. I have nothing to do with it. So if you're pitching to the ad side, I have no idea, and I don't care, and vice versa. So yeah, if you send me your friend, and here's where I can start giving a little bit of advice. If a company is sending me an ICO pitch, for example, or any kind of pitch, if you've got a story, make that the top of your pitch. Any email that starts with "our ICO launches Thursday," I probably am not even going to open it, because I don't care. I want something that is a story. I want something that's going to engage people. The stories that we run on Bitcoin Magazine aren't just telling people about the latest investment opportunity or what you perceive as an investment opportunity. For one thing, I have no idea if your ICO is going to work. And I'd rather talk about what it is you're building. I'd rather show what it is you're building and what problem you're solving. And companies that send those kinds, or say we're the first to solve problem A, B, or C. Chances are you're not. You're just maybe the first one that you've heard about and you haven't done your research. Because I get about 5 of those, we're the first to solve problem A, a week. And you're not even the first guy who's pitched it to me this week, never mind ever. So do your research, know your market, and tell me what your story is. Tell me why people should care what it is beyond it's going to moon. Because that's not the stories we tell. So that's a really big one. And if I don't respond to your email in the first day, and I don't respond to your follow-up email the second day, I'm probably not going to respond to your email the 3rd, 4th, or 5th day. If I responded to every pitch that I couldn't cover, that would be my day. And I just don't have time for it. So chances are, if you feel like sending one follow-up email, be my guest. But chances are, if I haven't responded, it's simply because it's not a good fit for us, and I had to move on to the next thing. And no offense, I can't possibly answer every email pitch that I get, because it's just continuous.
Any other big mistakes that you're seeing that people can avoid before we sign off? Any final, I don't know, don't do this or I'll kill you?
Yeah, well, it's not a don't do this or I'll kill you. But as I mentioned off the top, we do a lot of research. We try to do a lot of research. We very rarely will simply take your press release, reword it, and then stick it up as an article. That's not what I want to do. What we want to do is get your press release, say 2 or 3 days in advance, under embargo. I promise, I swear on my cat's life that I will never break an embargo. But if you send me your press release with 2 or 3 days notice, tell me in your press release that I can contact somebody in the company to answer questions, and then actually have that person follow through and answer the questions, we will do a story. Like, that creates a story for us. If you send us a press release and we have a pile of questions and you give us 8 hours notice, you send it to me at 6 o'clock the night before and lift the embargo at 6 a.m. the next day, I don't have time to write or assign it to a writer, have the writer do the proper research, follow up with questions, write the article, fact check it, proofread it, copy edit it, proofread it, and then post it in time for your embargoed story. And if I look at it and go, yeah, I'm not going to get this out by the time the embargo lifts and everybody else is going to just print it, nobody's going to read our story, why am I paying a writer to put this together? So for the love of everything, please send me your press releases with enough time for us to put together a good article, because that's what creates good journalism, is giving a journalist a chance to do his or her job and give an editor a chance to do his or her job thoroughly, so that we know the quality of what we're putting out there is not rushed, and it's held to a high standard. And that's the best piece of advice I can give anybody, is just do it in advance, and don't rush it, and don't make us rush it, because we hate making mistakes and hate having to retract things.
Really, really good advice. You know, there's so many scams out there, and due diligence in this space is so important, and especially for journalists. They need, before they write and release a story, they need to actually do due diligence, which isn't easy. You really need to research.
Yeah, and I've had CEOs and people respond to me and say, "Holy smoke, this is the first time I've ever been fact checked. That I've ever had somebody come back to me with fact checking questions," and I find that astonishing. But
and frightening.
We really try. We really, really try to. If there's anything, if I read something and I go, "That doesn't sound right," I'll go back, and I won't post it if I have a question. And then it becomes too old, and then the story is not, it doesn't happen if people don't get back to us and answer the questions. It's in your best interest. If you are the spokesperson or the CEO of a company, it's in your best interest to answer the questions that the journalists send you, because that's how we get it right. And then you don't get all annoyed because we got it wrong inadvertently.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Christie. This, I hope, was a good, little pre-course for everybody.
Tatiana, sorry, can I just say one more thing, if you don't mind?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
If anybody wants to catch the next time, I'm going to be in San Francisco at Distributed.
I was going to pitch it too. I was going to pitch our hang.
We're going to hang out in San Francisco at the end of July, from the 19th to the 20th for Distributed 2018. So you can go to distributed.com. That's one of our BTC Inc.'s conferences. And I'll be moderating some panels. And if you are interested in joining us there, there's a Tatiana discount code for tickets.
Really? I didn't know that. That's so fancy.
So if you go, you'll get 30% off with the code Tatiana.
Well, that's sizable.
So
yeah. I went to the Chicago conference. I've told our listeners, and I thought it was a very high quality conference. So I'm looking forward to it. Me and Adam from Let's Talk Bitcoin are going to be doing podcasts together. So we'll be interviewing different people there. And so we'll see you all out in San Francisco.
And Aaron Van Veerden's going to be doing a fireside chat as well, and doing a
cool.
history of Bitcoin thing. So yeah, it's going to be a really cool conference.
Maybe I can interview him. That might be
Bitcoin rather. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. All right, great. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Where can people reach you?
I'm at Crypto Words on Twitter. So at Crypto Words. Bitcoin Magazine is at Bitcoin Magazine. We're at bitcoinmagazine.com. We have a newsletter you can sign up for. And yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on, all the usual hangouts, adding an Instagram soon. So yeah, that's where we are.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Christie, for joining us today. Thanks again, Connie at BitGive. Check out GiveTrack. Make a donation. They've got 2 ongoing campaigns. One of them is about to end, so they're definitely looking to boost the moolah for that one. And then, of course, Hartej, thanks for coming on, giving us a little bit of an education. I don't know, go to cryptomediahub.com, find out more about me at tatianarose.com. My events are getting updated as we speak. I have so many fun things coming up, so y'all can find me there. Josh, where are you? Vaultoro.com, awesome website. Get your gold. Get rid of that Bitcoin. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to make a choice.
Get rid of the gold, back to Bitcoin. We're down,
there you go.
Back up.
Ultimate flexibility. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace out. Happy 4th.
Peace.
So